Okay, there we go. There's gonna be a little bit of echo in just a second, but we should be good. I can't believe I've been doing this for 6 weeks. Alright, Alright, yep, we're good. It works. There shouldn't be any echo this week. Hope you guys don't mind me eating as well. I might take a couple bites here and there. Got some Polish burger that my mother made. It's very good, very tasty. Yes, there's ketchup on that. Fight me. Alright. Welcome, everybody, to the 6th week of the Whistlers podcast. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. It is now evening, as you can tell. Or at least it is in the northeast right now. But regardless, hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I'm just gonna edit this. Cryptid. Cryptids. Myths. Legends. Live podcast. Research. Unknown. This is what it's like being a live streamer. People, at least one that doesn't get a whole lot of attention. And I'm also sorry I'm like 5 minutes late today, but it's, you know, what can you do? I will go back eventually and rename and oh, this is gonna be tough. Re-thumbnail all those past videos. That will happen eventually. Don't exactly know when, though. I'm kind of in more, I don't know how to, I mean, it's still plaid, it's still on brand. But it's a bit more, relaxed outfit, I'll call it. So I apologize for that. If you can't tell, I'm sick, and I've actually been getting worse throughout the day. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Anyway, welcome to the Cryptids podcast, everybody. The podcast where the host always yawns. The podcast where we take a look for anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, depending on how we're feeling and how we do and all that. And we look at it. We look at case reports, case studies. We look at books. We look at movies, videos. We look at everything and anything that relates to the creature, so we can get at least a little bit of an idea. We try to be as open-minded as possible here. We have gone from believing, well, I shouldn't say believing. We have gone from being open to the idea of an alien-like water creature living in Massachusetts to saying that the dog man in, I think it's Minnesota, I could be wrong on that, is just a giant wolf that walks on its back legs across the road because it doesn't want to stop running. So, we're not going to shoot anything down. We're not going to immediately put the brakes on anything. We pretty much take anything and everything with a grain of salt until we decide it's worth more than its weight in gold. So, that is the Whistlers podcast. I'm so sorry that this week is odd. Like I said, I'm just sick. So, yeah, that's where we're at. But, we're trying to save the more famous ones for special occasions. This is the 6th episode. So we're just going to keep going with these, I don't want to say lesser known, but we're going to keep going with just these smaller case studies. And also, sorry, that's going to happen a lot. If that annoys you, I understand if you leave this one out. These Wikipedia article, actually, let me open the window real quick. Try and keep myself awake. But the see also down here apparently has other things along the idea of cryptids. And we're not just here for cryptids. This is just, that the fact that clear browsing, what? Correct? Can I just escape? Okay, I don't know what I hit. The fact that it's called Cryptid Podcast doesn't eliminate legends and myths and other things like that, and folktale. It just kind of narrows down. Maybe not so much folktale, since that's literally made up, but we're here. We're here to have a good time. So, what are we doing today? One thing that actually does interest me is the Thunderbird. Oh, excuse me. Now, I have to say this, so, let me rewind a little bit. One of the most popular cryptids, or at least a couple of them, are the Wendigo and the Skinwalker. Those are both, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, Native American origin. I do have Native American blood in me. I don't look at it, and it's a very small percent. I'm not gonna pull a Elizabeth Warren here, but it is in me. And the reason why I mention that is I've grown up hearing these different ideas passed around in the household. Now, because I've always had an interest in the unknown, and which started with ghosts when I was a kid, being interested in ghosts led to being interested in these different creatures. I never heard of the Thunderbird, but I did hear the Wendigo before I even started looking at the internet. So, with all of that in mind, I know that there is controversy surrounding these different cryptids, alright? Plenty of controversy that I am not A, able to, B, equipped to, or C, wanting to stand on a soapbox and talk about the controversy surrounding them. Controversies go anywhere from pretty much some claim cultural appropriation to others claiming that nobody except for the people involved with the direct creation of these creatures should be talking about them, to just the perversion of the cryptid, the creatures, the perversion of the creature and what they resemble, stand for, and their history as those from outside the bubble put their own twists and turns on it. Now, how much of this is true? How much of this is valid? I don't care to put my 2 cents on. I mention that because the Thunderbird is a very, from my understanding, Native American Native American idea, right? So, I'm not going to, when I go over these different creatures, I'm not going to try and sit here and give any one side of the story, right? I mean, if you guys have seen any of the other episodes, I hope you know by now, I'm here for research and understanding true origin and understanding how far it goes back and everything else. I want to know. I'm not going to go from, I want it from the horse's mouth, essentially. And in this case, going forward, and I'll bring this up, every time we go over something that this is related to, but probably in lesser extent in the future. I just want you to know that we are going to treat this with respect. We're going to treat this with honor, and understand that whether modern politics or classical politics or ethics or emotions or ethics, whatever word you want to put in there, regardless of it all, We're just here for the origins and the story and whether or not these creatures have possibility and or ability to exist, and regardless of that ability to exist, what the implication is with that existence. So, with all that said, today, indigenous, I guess that would be a word. Now I'm looking at this Wikipedia here. With all that said, we're going to jump into the story of the Thunderbird today. Usually with these, for those who are new, read the wiki. It's a very plain text kind of way to get into the creatures. We always start with the Wikipedias, and then from the Wikipedias we go from there to other websites as well, because anybody can edit Wikipedia, which is both a blessing and a curse. And it sometimes, as we saw with the not Jersey Devil, that is what we want to do though, as we saw with the Overdemon, it can lead to some extra details that we otherwise would not have been able to figure out. So, with all that said, grab your pipe, grab your food. I don't smoke. I just am a wannabe because my Pepe was a pipe user and I like my Pepe. And relax. Okay. Hello, Ash Doom. How are you? Oh, apple juice, so good. Another thing too, coming off that rant, because I do want to make it clear, I'm not trying to put any twists or turns on these creatures from the outside looking in. I'm just trying to give a story, to give evidence, to give non-evidence, all that different stuff. But with that said, at the end of the day, this is just research. And if you don't like the way that I am conducting my research, A, totally valid. You're welcome to be upset with it. But also B, I encourage you to do your own then. And actually, regardless if you like mine or not, I encourage you to research any of the stuff that we look at here, because it's best to look at information yourself than to get it from a secondary source. But in this case, I'm not even secondary. I don't do any research into this. I don't know jack about like the Thunderbird. I don't know. I'm just here to talk, have a good time, relax, and I guess today eat food and hang out with you guys and just use the Thunderbird as a means to do some research and educate. Again, not as an authority, but to educate each other, ourselves, myself and yourself, and everyone else involved. So that's where we're going with this, and that's what we're going to be doing today. How are you doing today, Ash Doom? And while you answer that, let's get reading. So, the mythology of the Thunderbird. And again, I'm sick today, so if I'm off, that's why. The Thunderbird is a legendary creature in certain North American indigenous peoples' history and culture. It is considered a supernatural being of power and strength. It is especially important and frequently depicted in the art, songs, and oral histories of many Pacific Northwest coast cultures, but is also found in various forms among some peoples of the American Southwest, East Coast of the United States, Great Lakes, and Great Plains. In modern times, it has achieved notoriety as a purported cryptid similar to creatures such as Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. General description. The Thunderbird is said to create thunder by flapping its wings. I'm not going to try to pronounce these words. That word right there. And lightning by flashing its eyes. The Thunderbird myth and motif is prevalent among... Okay, I guess I have to. Is prevalent among Algonquin peoples in Northeast, i.e. Eastern Canada, such as Ontario, Quebec, and eastward, and Northeastern United States, and the Iroquois peoples surrounding the Great Lakes. So two main peoples there. The discussion of the Northeast region has included Algonquin-speaking people in the lakes bordering U.S. Midwest states, example, Ojibwe and Minnesota. I sincerely apologize for me not being able to pronounce all these words. They're not in my vocabulary. In Algonquin mythology, the Thunderbird controls the upper world, while the underworld is controlled by the underwater panther or great horned serpent. The Thunderbird creates not just thunder with its wing flapping, but lightning bolts which it casts at the underworld creatures. Thunderbirds in this tradition may be depicted as a spread eagle bird, wings horizontal, head in profile, but also quite commonly with the head facing forward, thus presenting an X-shaped appearance overall. Excuse me. Ojibwe. The Ojibwe version of the myth states that the Thunderbirds were created by Nanabozo for the purpose of fighting the underwater spirits. They were also used to punish humans who broke moral rules. The Thunderbirds lived in the four directions and arrived with the other birds in the springtime. In the fall, they migrated south after the ending of underwater spirits' most dangerous season. Menominee. The Menominee of northern Wisconsin tell of a great mountain that floats in the eastern sky, on which dwell the Thunderbirds. They control the rain and hail and delight in fighting and deeds of greatness. They are the enemies of the great horned snakes, the Misikinubik, and have prevented these from overrunning the earth and devouring mankind. They are the messengers of the great sun himself. Okay, so far, just to catch everyone up, we have these birds that create thunder. They're fighters. They fight the underwater spirits, or I think it said. Is that correct? I want to make sure I got this right. They also create lightning bolts. And they are messengers of the sun, right? Isn't that what it said? Yeah, messengers of the great sun. Oh, excuse me. Siouan. The Thunderbird motif is also seen in Siouan-speaking peoples, which include tribes traditionally occupying areas around the Great Lakes. Ho-Chunk. Ho-Chunk tradition states that a man who has a vision of a Thunderbird during a solitary fast will become a war chief of the people. Okay. Arikara. Ethnographer George Amos Dorsey transcribed a tale from the Arikaras with the title The Boy Who Befriended the Thunderbirds and the Serpent. A boy named Antelope Carrier finds a nest with 4 young Thunderbirds. Their mother comes and tells the human boy that a 2-headed serpent comes out of the lake to eat the young. Iconography. X-shapes. In Algonquin. Wait, isn't there... Hold on, I just thought something. I'm sorry. Pronounce. Oh, wait, no, that's a Google thing. Google... Oh, I hate Google.com. Alright, that works. Pronounce. Okay. Can't I just copy? No? Okay, whatever. ALGO. Whoops. ALGO. NQUIAN. NQUI. There it is. Alright, how do you say this? According to Google.
Algonquian.
Algonquian. Good enough for me. Better than my guess. Algonquian. In Algonquian images, an X-shaped Thunderbird is often used to depict the Thunderbird with its wings alongside its body and the head facing forwards instead of in profile. The depiction may be stylized and simplified. A headless X-shaped Thunderbird was found on an Algonquian, and what is this one? OJIBWE. OJIBWE. Search. Never mind. Well, that's Google's fault, not mine. I was trying to get it right. It was found on an Ojibwe Midwewin. The depiction may be stylized, simplified. A headless X-shaped Thunderbird was found in an Ojibwe Midwewin disc dating to 1250 to 1400 CE, An 18th century manuscript, a daybook ledger, written by the namesake grandson of Governor Matthew Mayhew, the Thunderbird pictograms varies from recognizable birds to simply an incised X. Non-indigenous scientific interpretations. American science historian and folklorist Adrian Mayer and British historian Tom Holland. Yo, we got Spider-Man up in here. We got Spider-Man coming out talking about the Thunderbirds. Tom Holland have both suggested that indigenous Thunderbird stories are based on discoveries of petrosaur fossils by Native Americans. However, it has also been noted that by whom? ? Ooh, they need a citation. Material near this tag may use weasel words with too vague attribution. July 21. Ooh, someone's in trouble. Despite variations, the common design elements of that motif within different tribal groups across the continent appear distinct from the makeup of the suggested prehistoric flying reptiles such as eagle or raptor-like avian feathered wings and tail. Oh, man, my lungs. Along with a vastly different head shape, perhaps with the exception of some Pacific Northwest imagery. Alright, in modern usage, Thunderbird is the name of an operator and popular competitive... What? In Rainbow Six? Who the heck? Thunderbird. Rainbow Six. Are you telling me... What? I stopped when they introduced Maestro, man. Who is Thunderbird? Alright, we're not gonna turn to a gaming podcast here. I just never heard of this character, but is that really surprising? The Ford Thunderbird took its name from the Thunderbird. Not surprising. In 1925, alutes were recorded as using the term to describe the Douglas World cruiser aircraft, which passed through Attica on the first aerial circumnavigation. Almost said that perfectly. By U.S. Army team the previous year. Pokemon Zapdos. Excuse me. It's based on First Nations folklore surrounding Thunderbird. The Thunderbird is part of the Harry Potter franchise and plays a significant role in Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. The Thunderbird at the top of a totem pole in front of, I can't say that word, like literally I cannot pronounce it. Once again, I cannot pronounce that word. First Nation big house built by Chief Mungo Martin in 1953, located at Thunderbird Park in Victoria, British Columbia. So that is the Thunderbird, and this is in Native North American folklore. Yeah, so that's the overview. Let's Thunderbird. And I want to reiterate, I really want to reiterate here. I think I said that wrong, but you get the point. I'm only trying to learn and teach along with you guys. And I shouldn't even say teach, really, because I've said this before, I don't do research ahead of time. So everything I'm doing here, this is trying to, in a way, spread awareness, but also expose people, including myself, to ideas from different heritages, cultures, I should say, and at the end of the day, as well as, have a little bit of fun looking into the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot and all that. So, I want to reiterate, I'm not trying to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. I don't. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn with others as I do the research that you all watch. So, I want to make that very clear. All right. Thunderbird. Let's just look up Thunderbird, see what happens. Okay. Hey, that's only what? 8 links below. We finally get something about the creature itself. Alright, so we're gonna shelf this website for now. Hello? Okay. We're going to shelf that website for now because that seems to just reiterate everything that we just read. I'm trying to kind of avoid websites that just eat up time. So let's look up Thunderbird creature. Okay, so there's the cryptid wiki about it. So it is considered a cryptid, which is a little odd, I would put it. I'm curious as to why it's called a cryptid. That man is straight out of Mandela effect. What is going on here? The icky man. He does seem pretty icky. Alright. Hey, hold on. Okay. Oh, I'm tired. Alright. Thunderbird. Thunderbird is a cryptozoological... I still struggle to say a word. Creature associated with large bird-like animals that live anywhere in northern Canada and Alaska down to Central America. Similar animals often appear in Native American mythology. Some tales tell of enormous eagles strong enough to carry whales back to their nests. Since pioneers began moving west across the North American plains, sightings of large birds have been reported. Similar stories appear from civilizations around the world. Native tribes all across... Okay, so... Oh, here we go. Okay. Alright, I'm glad we did the regular wiki first then, because in this case, now we're getting into, like, actual possible evidence and or reportings, which is what we want. Don't get me wrong, we want it all. But the meat and potatoes of this podcast should be both, what is it, where does it come from, and what's happened with it, you know, what's the kind of the proof of it. So it's all three, but all of it's good. So the legend. Native tribes all across North America. Native tribes all across North America, especially along the Pacific coast and in the Great Lakes area, have stories depicting enormous birds of prey. Some stories told that these birds were so large, powerful that when they flapped their wings, thunder was created. We know about that. Lightning flashed out of their eyes and water fell off their backs, creating rain. Okay. I lost my place. The tribes used thunderbirds to explain some of the things that happen naturally, such as storms and other forms of weather. The legend of that word... I'm not even going to try to say that. The legend of that, for example, describes the quest of two Native Americans in search of the source of thunder high in the mountains. Other stories say that there was a thunderbird who battled an enormous killer whale. When the two beasts fought, they destroyed much of the land, knocking down trees and causing much destruction. Although dangerous and powerful beings, thunderbirds were also seen as benevolent nature spirits. Although, I read that, and they sometimes assisted the tribes in search for food during periods of famine. The igneous rocks known as thunderstones are the eggs of these creatures, according to some legends. Okay, that all shouts Pokemon. I see where Pokemon got the inspiration for Zapdos. 1977, Lawndale, Illinois, Thunderbird attack. Okay, here we go. 1977, Lawndale, Illinois, Thunderbird attack was a reported attack by two unidentified birds on a young boy. The attack occurred on July 25th, 1977. 10-year-old Marlon Lowe was playing outside when he was suddenly attacked by two large birds, one of which temporarily picked him up and carried him over 30 feet before Marlon's mother, Ruth Lowe, ran to her son's rescue, chasing the birds away and then recovering her traumatized son. Reportedly, several eyewitnesses had seen the attack take place. The birds were described as having a white ring around their necks, a 4.5-foot body, with each wing approximately 4 feet long, a 6-inch hooked bill, 3 front claws, 1 back claw. That is extremely specific. Extremely. And a large black body. Alright. So, let's keep this in mind. This seems important. It's the only one on here anyway, so might be the only actual report. We'll have to see. Thunderbirds today. Sightings of large bird-like creatures have been reported for many years, at least since people began settling further west in the United States and Canada. One of the most famous reports from 1890, there we go, where 2 Arizona cowboys claimed to have shot and killed a large bird. It was described as having no feathers, but it had the head similar to that of an alligator. The 2 men supposedly dragged the dead bird back to town after killing it. The report seems to suggest this creature looked more like a pterodactyl or dragon than any modern-day bird. Today, cryptozoologists usually refer to Thunderbird legends the same way that they do with flying cryptids, such as the Kong Amato, the Rock, the Ropin, and even sometimes the Jersey Devil, which we'll go over one day. These flying creatures are often associated with modern-day petrosaurs. Many of the encounters with the creatures, including the Thunderbirds, are all described similarly. Quite often, the creatures are said to resemble petrosaurs, which were thought to be extinct for millions of years. And then we have the explanation aspect of this. Thunderbirds may be modern-day Teratorns, I guess. However, this is unlikely since no flying bird bigger than an albatross or an Andean condor has been discovered in recent times, but then again, they could still live. That's like the most, well, probably not. However, answer. Petrosaurs are suspects of Thunderbird sightings, but this seems far-fetched as petrosaurs, according to science, have been long extinct since the late Cretaceous around 66 million years ago. So extinct. Oh, sorry. Some extinct non-native birds like the African crowned eagles and Andean condors possibly escaping from captivity may have played a role of Thunderbird sightings, with African crowned eagles said to have caused so-called Thunderbird attacks, and Andean condors being mistaken for the larger mythological Thunderbird at first glance. Thunderbird sightings may just be hoaxes made by mistaken identifications of real/Native American birds, pranksters, or cryptid enthusiasts. Alright, so here on the right, we have footage showing supposed Thunderbirds. These birds are actually most likely turkey vultures, no silver lining under their wings. Turkey vultures have a large 6-foot wingspan. Let's check this out.
Month of July, 1977, many reports of giant living Thunderbirds were pouring into newspaper offices and TV stations across central Illinois. I, Chief AJ, of the Central Tribal Native American Council, was called upon by CBS television to try to film a living Thunderbird. I had been trained by the United States Marine Corps to be a combat photographer. CBS had called on me many times in the past to film major fires. I had produced good films for CBS, delivering to them network quality results. I studied a map of central Illinois where the Thunderbird sightings had been happening and decided to cruise by canoe the remote shoreline of Lake Shelbyville.
So that's a lot of good info right there. I'm getting a little worried. I don't know how YouTube is with over a minute of copyright, so I'm just going to mute it for the rest. Not that I don't enjoy this commentary, I actually do a lot. But this is the supposed filming of a Thunderbird. Gotta admit, looks a lot like a turkey vulture. I hate to sound like that, but even without knowing about the silver lining on the wing, which I wasn't aware of, it looks a lot like a turkey vulture. I have seen those. They are very similar. But that's besides the point. So, there is that. And it looks like everything else here. Up my nose. Alright. So, Let's start with the more, what I would consider personally, the more intriguing one. 1890. 1890 Thunderbird. There we go. The Strange Mystery of the Lost Thunderbird photo. Is this the same one? What the heck? There ain't no way that's real. There ain't no... No, that can't be. What? You're telling me... Well then. Are there any bullet holes? I guess the lack of being able to see a bullet hole can be due to the fact it's such low quality. Maybe that's it right there, but that looks more like an ear. What am I looking at? That straight up looks like a dinosaur. Wow. Well. Let's go with this one. MysteriousUniverse.org. Only because I personally trust .org more than .com. Don't know why. Can't defend it. Just how I feel. Alright. The Strange Mystery of the Lost Thunderbird photo. My eye itches. No furry... Oh, I have to yawn. Sorry. Known for a once thriving silver industry, the dusty town of Tombstone, Arizona was also the location for one of the stranger and oft discussed amounts of anomaly of cryptozoology. The Tombstone epitaph on April 26, 1890 included a case of a rather curious encounter. Sorry, I keep losing my place. The article details a fantastic account of some sort of huge winged creature which was found by two ranchers in the desert region between the Whetstone and Huachua Mountains, I guess. I say it a million times. I apologize for my pronunciations. And I lost my place again. I'm sorry. Alright, the monstrous thing was said to look somewhat like an enormous alligator with an elongated tail and a set of massive bat-like wings. When it was found, the creature was allegedly absolutely exhausted and only capable of a short burst of flight. This would kickstart a much-discussed oddity within cryptozoology in the realm of unexplained mysteries. The two curious ranchers were then said to have pursued the strange creature for several miles on horseback as it took the air to retreat in short, sporadic flights, occasionally getting within range to unleash upon it with their rifles and wounding it in the process. At one point, the injured monster apparently turned on the men in aggression and defiance, at which point they were able to shoot it dead. Afterwards, the rangers claimed to have measured it and found the body to be roughly 92 feet in length, with 2 feet that were joined to the body with massive wings that were awkwardly folded under the body. When the wings had been properly stretched out, they were said to be around 160 feet in diameter from tip to tip, and the enormous head of the beast was reported as measuring 8 feet long with strong jaws filled with formidable sharp teeth and eyes the size of dinner plates. The wings were apparently covered in some sort of thin membrane, and the whole body covered with rather thin, almost translucent skin without hair or feathers. There's Tombstone. The ranchers reportedly chopped off a portion of one of the creature's wings to take with them, after which they supposedly made arrangements to have the beast skinned and examined by scientists. It is unclear if that ever happened or not. The article simply ends on a note of excitement about what will be uncovered, but nothing is really known about what happened after this rather amazing story or what became of the alleged carcass. This account has drawn a fair amount of criticism, not only because of the sheer ludicrous size and description of the thing, but also because it seems like a storyteller made to bring in tourists and money to the town. At the time, the once prosperous tombstone had fallen on hard times due to the flooding of several of the silver mines that were the town's lifeblood, and they were no doubt desperate to put their ailing town back on the map, so a sensational story of a fantastic giant flying dinosaur might have been one way to do it. The fact of such an amazing tale, which would have taken the scientific world by storm, was not mentioned in any other local newspaper, nor any apparent photograph taken of it, just makes the whole thing more suspicious. There was also the habit of papers at the time generously exaggerate stories, or even to make them up entirely. Yeah, still happens to this day, am I right? The bizarre story would not end there. It would indeed evolve into one of cryptozoology's great mysteries. In 1966, after decades of debate as to the authenticity of the story of the tombstone pterodactyl, a writer by the name of Jack Pearl claimed that there was indeed a photo of the tombstone creature, or at least one very much like it, that had been published in another article in Tombstone Epitaph in 1886. The article allegedly said that a group of prospectors had carted the dead monster. Carted? It's carted. Carted the dead monster into town and pinned it to a barn wall for a photo. The picture apparently shows 6 men standing with arms outstretched before the winged beast, and its size estimated. How do I keep losing my place? To be around 36 feet from wingtip to wingtip. Throughout the epitaph denied that any photo had ever existed, even going through back issues and files to be sure, but there was nothing, but it just wouldn't die. The story of this photo's existence was corroborated by writer H.M. Cranmer in a 1963 article in Fate magazine. A renowned cryptozoologist Yvonne Sanderson claimed that he had actually owned a photocopy of the photo, but it had been lost. From there, the legend of the now notorious Thunderbird photo really took off. People began to come out of the woodwork swearing they had seen the photo on TV, in books, or in magazines, but in every case, no actual copy could ever be tracked down. The question of the elusive photo's existence became a popular topic within the realms of cryptozoology and Fortena. I think that's how you say that anyway. Inciting heated debate and speculation, and the search for the lost photo became sort of a holy grail within the field. Author Joshua Hawley has said of it, quote, "The most popular theory of the picture existing, the real picture, is a pterodactyl-like creature spread out on a barn, wingspan about 18 feet, and it had cowboys holding hands, stretching their arms out, depicting the actual size of the creature as it spread. However, this picture has never surfaced or been found. Anything published will always be out there. So if it's still out there... So if it's still out there and hidden, it's one big, great hide and seek. It's the story of the Thunderbird in Tombstone, Arizona. Through the years, many have sworn that they saw the picture in magazines, but that is not possible, as Tombstone Epitaph had no ability to publish pictures back then. The thing is, if it hasn't been found yet, with hundreds of people looking for something they remember, but they implant that memory and say, I know I saw it. In-depth investigations into the claims of the photo being printed in the Tombstone Epitaph were carried out, yet looking back deeply in the newspaper's archive showed that no such picture was ever published, and there had been no follow-up article. Others researched all editions of various books in which people had sworn they had seen the photo, but it turned out that no photo had ever been published in any one of them. Oh, sorry. Some people have sworn up and down that the picture was most certainly in a particular book, only to find that the photo was gone when they looked there. Over the years, photos had been occasionally brought forward and claimed to be supposedly lost Thunderbird photo, but none of them seemed to be exactly what was described in the original, what people insisted they remembered seeing. There had even been big names within the field, the paranormal and Fortuna, who are saying that they have seen the photo, with Mothman Prophecies author John Keel saying in the 1990s, I know I saw it, and not only that, I compared notes with a lot of other people who saw it. The eminent paranormal magazine Fate has always claimed to have once had a copy of the photo and had even published it, yet is nowhere to be found. Mark Chorvinsky of Strange Magazine has also said of it, quote, "The story of the Tombstone Thunderbird has intrigued me as long as I can remember. Even as a child, I remember reading the story and being amazed. How, I asked myself, could what seemed to be a prehistoric creature like a pterodactyl be shot down by cowboys in the 1800s? Such a thing seemed impossible, but evidence existed in the form of many stories and references to the event, and of course existed in the form of a photograph. That was the really exciting part, the photograph. I still remember what it looked like today, or do I? I swear that I saw it myself. It's strange that so many people remember seeing the photo, including many very, very reliable people." End quote. So what is excuse me. So what is going on? How can so many people vividly and irresistibly remember seeing this photograph, so adamantly convinced that it is real, yet be totally unable to find a copy or any proof whatsoever of its actual existence? All kinds of theories have been thrown around trying to explain how so many people could remember seeing a photo that seems to not have ever existed, ranging from the rational to the decidedly fringe. One idea is that it is simply a mass false suggestion, while more far-out ideas postulate time warps, time travelers, stealing the copies, or even preventing it from ever being taken, as well as the notion of the photo somehow erasing itself from reality. Another idea is that this is all down to what is called the Mandela effect, entailing some sort of mass shift of people, from one dimension to another, with many keeping memories from their past reality that often clash or don't add up with details from the new one. Although all evidence points to the fact that it never existed, the lost Tombstone Thunderbird photograph remains a persistent and compelling mystery and subject of debate. Well, with many possible candidates for it being presented over the years, and there are those who continue to allegedly search for it. The true answer, however, has never been revealed. So, that is... yeah, I wonder why you like the flag, Ash. Yeah, you helped me buy it. Yeah, thank you. I think it looks good. Old Glory. It's old, too. It's got 48 stars. No specific year on the creation. I need to look into the tag itself on the side of the flag. But it's a good flag. Washed and wrinkle-free, mostly. As much as can be. Now, proudly above a pro-America room. God bless the United States, my friends. But, yeah. That is the Thunderbird photograph. So, it seems like we have two photographs here. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna have another bite of food, don't mind me. Very good. So, well, I mean, we know what it is. We know what Thunderbird is. And I guess there's this, like, Mandela effect, people seeing it. Not the creature, but the photograph. But that was the older one. So this has been a subject of, I guess I'll call it debate, since the late 1800s. If we go back, though, here it is. Here it is. I swear when I get sick, I'm going to do like a very good villain voice. there was a report of a child being attacked by a Thunderbird in 1977. Let's give that a look-see. So, where do we want to start here? There's not a whole lot of really, like, solid websites here. Let's just go with let's just pick one. So let's go with wyohistory.org. Never mind. God bless the Thunderbird pilot killed in a crash at Frontier Park and there. Let's go here. Okay. Thunderbird attacked. Her glasses straight. Y'all ever seen you man, like, I'm not trying to make fun of her at all, okay? I'm not making fun of her. I'm not poking fun at anything, all right? I mean, she had to protect him. But those glasses and those eyes, even the nose, like, almost a mouth even. She just straight up looks like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Like, literally. Literally. Alright, well, anyway, we're gonna stop being distracted. Even though it's fun to be distracted. Marlon and Ruth Lowe after the incident. I was just replicating the website. This is one of those weird stories that sticks in my mind, demanding to be understood, and I keep trying, but I haven't gotten there yet. On July 25th, 1977, in a residential neighborhood of Lawndale, Illinois, already we've got a solid time in place. Two marvelously large birds swooped down out of the sky. One of them grabbed 10-year-old Marlon Lowe, while another boy escaped by diving into a neighborhood swimming pool. Marlon struggled violently, and after about 35 feet, the bird let go of him, and he had the presence of mind to run into a house before he could be snatched again. There were 7 witnesses to the incident, their stories all tallied. The big birds flew away well before police arrived. After the incident made it into the news, Marlon was mocked as Bird Boy and his mother Ruth branded as a cook. I don't know what it means. Crank calls, threats, dead animals left on their doors. What? It's difficult to understand the animosity felt towards these ordinary people who had done nothing wrong. That's bizarre. These birds were written off as turkey vultures. What bunk. We have lots of turkey vultures in my neighborhood. They're big, but nowhere near big enough to take off with a 60-pound boy in their claws. No one's in the least afraid of them. No one in 1977 had a cell phone camera, so we're out of luck for pictures. I don't know about you, but I believe 7 witnesses. What they were describing was outlandish, but surely not impossible. Eagles have been known to take small children. It's a very rare event. Not unknown, but no one in Lawndale thought these birds were eagles. Is it possible that somewhere in North America there are enormous birds yet unknown to science, only rarely seen and not very many of them? If you say no, it's only impossible. You've probably spent too much time in the city or suburbs. Alright, well, that was very quick. That was very quick. Alright. Okay, we still got time. The mythic child stealing Thunderbirds of Illinois. The evening of July excuse me, 25th, 1977 was just like any other hot summer evening for the Lowe family of Lawndale, Illinois. A smell of sizzling beef and grilled vegetables permeated the air as the adults... Why we get this, like, world building? This ain't a story. I mean, it's a story, but, man, it's... I don't know. What does this bring me to for a link? Not found page. Cool. Never mind. The following is Ruth Lowe's harrowing eyewitness account of a particularly frightening avian encounter as written by Jerry D. Coleman of cryptozoology.com. At approximately 8:10 p.m., the Lowe's were cleaning up after their alfresco dinner, the kids still playing outside, and that's when it happened. Taste the World, the Gastro Obscure book. No. Ruth, the matriarch of the Lowe clan, was cleaning up in the kitchen where she couldn't have seen her children. She heard a piercing scream and she knew it was none other than 10-year-old son Marlin. When she ran outside to see what was the commotion, she was stunned. Two massive birds flying in a tight wingtip-to-wingtip formation were chasing her son Marlin, pecking and clawing at his shoulders. As Ruth ran to Marlin's aid, the larger of the two birds sunk their claws into his shirt, fully lifted a 56-pound boy off the ground, but the birds were no match for a defensive mother. Ruth kept attacking the birds and dropped her now terrified son to the ground, carrying him for a distance of over 35 feet. When the Lowe's went to the police, they were laughed out of the precinct. One of the cops allegedly said to Ruth over the guffaws of his fellow officers, "Let me get straight, giant bird attacked your nephew." In her statement to the police, Ruth described the bird as such. It had a white ring around its half-foot-long neck. The rest of the body was very black. The bird's bill was 6 inches in length and hooked at the end. The claws on the feet were arranged with 3 front, 1 in the back. Each wing, less the body, was 4 feet at the very least. The entire length of the bird's body from beak to tail is approximately 4.5 feet. Obviously, as with any eyewitness accounts of cryptids, Ruth and Marlin Lowe's story was met with a healthy dose of skepticism and even ridicule. As their story was circulated around the local press, Marlin became known to his schoolmates as Bird Boy, and dead pigeons were tossed onto the Lowe family's porch. Had Ruth not come outside at the very moment, she was sure the bird would have carried her son away. The California condor, the largest and one of the most endangered birds in North America, thought to be a culprit of Thunderbird legends. I'll have to look that up later. But there may have been some shred of truth to Lowe's story, and that's where it gets complex. Legends abound in Illinois about mysterious giant birds dating all the way back to the Cahokia tribe, an advanced and largely urbanized chiefdom on the banks of the Mississippi River that petered out around the 13th century. The cosmology of the Cahokia tribe is filled with fantastic creatures. Motifs of serpents, dragons, and monstrous birds dot the cliffs around the former Cahokia heartland, serving a religious purpose and also warning strangers and potential foes that they were entering Cahokia territory. Okay, there we go. And this is Cahokia territory at the confluence of the Illinois-Mississippi rivers. It's depicted in the 18th century map of Illinois. Okay. The most famous of all the cliff drawings is what's now known as the Piazza bird, a massive drawing etched into the limestone cliffs outside of Alton, Illinois. First described in 1673 by the Jesuit missionary Jacques Marquette as he was exploring the area. The image clearly shocked Marquette and his party to the core. As he wrote in his journal, quote, "We saw upon one of them 2 painted monsters, which at first made us afraid, and upon which the boldest savage dare not long rest their eyes. They are as large as a calf. They have horns on their heads like those of a deer, a horrible look, red eyes, a beard like a tiger's, a face somewhat like a man's, a body covered with scales, and so long a tail that winds around the body, passing above the head and going back between the legs, ending in a fishtail. The original depictions of the bird were described as some sort of hybrid hybrid reptilian bird, though in later depictions the creature becomes more bird-like. The Cahokia tribe calls these birds Thunderbirds for the sound they make when they flap their giant wings. Considered to be highly intelligent, these creatures alternate between preying on and assisting the tribe whenever they pleased. Thunderbirds figure prominently in the legends of other plain tribes as well, including the Lakota, who believe the birds embody the supreme being that created all living things on Earth. By the 19th century, the original drawing had been completely destroyed by weather and vandalism, though it has been consistently redrawn and carefully maintained since then based on sketches of the original drawing. And here's an 1869 old opinion of Jacques Marquet by William Lamprecht. And there's your source of that. In the 1940s, there was a rash of sightings of massive birds in and around Alton, not too far from the Piazza drawing. On April 4th, 1948, an army colonel named Walter F. Sigmund saw an astonishing sight as he was conversing with a local farmer. Sorry. Quote, I thought there was something wrong with my eyesight, but it was most definitely a bird, not a glider or a jet plane. It appeared to be flying northeast, and from the movements of the object and its size, I figured it had to have been a bird of tremendous size. End quote. We don't want to go to Neppanute. We want these guys. Alright. Also, shout out to Notchback Music. This is a great video. Just a few days later, on April 10th, there was another sighting in the skies above Alton, albeit a brief one. On April 24th, the birds were back, and this time many people saw them. Flight instructors at the local airport said the largest of the birds cast a shadow, quote, as big as a Piper Club from 500 feet up, end quote. Other eyewitnesses maintained that the birds were as large as small airplanes and far more humongous than any eagle they had ever seen. As soon as they appeared, the birds were gone, never to return, that is, until 1977. Turkey vultures with their massive wingspan could have been mistaken for legendary Thunderbird. Credible sightings of the massive Thunderbirds have been far and few between since the notorious Lawndale incident. Instead of profiting, the Lowell family was ostracized in their community, pointing to the fact it probably wasn't a planned hoax. There are many explanations. Mother Ruth and son Marlin could have simply panicked. Memory is unreliable and often prone to embellishment. Illinois is home to a significant population of turkey vultures, large carrion-eating birds that could have pegged marlin as an easy meal, though vultures usually don't hunt live prey. The Lawndale bird could theoretically have been an errant condor. These giant birds have wingspans in excess of 10 feet, though the species is endangered and endemic to the west coast. A painted animal skin representation of Thunderbird from the Great Lakes region. The possibilities for explanation are, like with most cryptids, endless. But one thing is for certain, for better or worse, ferocious monsters of the unknown have captured people's imaginations throughout history. There's something marvelous about the notion that a giant man-eating bird of native lore could still be prowling the skies of the Midwest. For all our scientific advancement and efforts to catalog, analyze, and understand the entire world around us, mysteries still do exist. Well, that one gave a little bit more, a little more context to a lot of things, actually. And there's a recreation of the Pisa Thunderbird, first seen in the late 17th century by European explorers near Alton. So, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of claims, unsurprisingly. But it's also a lot of... Alright. I'm actually getting a little ready to wrap. I get another second week in a row where we've gone barely over an hour, but I, again, am sick, and I apologize for it. And there's still a lot more to be read about this. Yeah, those are just 2 incidences and a little bit of an overarching idea of what the Thunderbird is. But it seems to me you have 2 things going on. You have this legend of a Native American legend where these birds are the ones that create the thunder that we hear in storms. And then around locations of where these legends come from, and as we saw with the Wikipedia, there's many, I'm just going to say tribes. I don't know if that's PC, I don't know if that's the right or wrong word, but amongst these many tribes, they all have similar details in Thunderbirds themselves, as was read in the Wikipedia earlier in the beginning of the video, and it seems like the areas like Illinois and that first one in 1890 are around areas near-ish these Tombstone, except Tombstone wasn't super close to it. So that one, and also that picture looks so fake, man. But we've already heard, like, in the 40s, there were a good amount of sightings as well. So it's almost like a bird that could be in hiding that just hasn't made itself known, which is unlikely. But also Illinois isn't Illinois lower on the population scale? Illinois population rank. What? Huh? What? I shouldn't have anything enabled. What? 6? As in a lot? Yeah, a lot. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Well, regardless, Illinois. I lost my track. My point is, all right, let me stop trying to be super professional here. My point is, I don't know actually if it's, I thought it was, but now I look at the map, it probably isn't. I don't know where the tribes that have the Legend of Thunderbirds lie on North American ground in relation to the states that the United States has and the geographical locations, nor do I know the actual tribes themselves. What I do know is in Native American tales, there is the Thunderbird, which is a massive bird that has these abilities of just strength and power and all these other amazing things. And then you have birds being seen around America that matches at least some of these descriptions. They're massive, they're powerful, they're strong, all that jazz. And without a reasonable explanation, people then go straight to the Thunderbird. It makes sense. It does, but at the same time, they're just really big birds. And I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one because, like, and that's just reading 2 things. Like, you know, I know I'm going to end it here a little bit early again, but that's just going off 2 things. That's not even talking about the other stuff we haven't read, for lack of a better way of saying it. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I did my best, and I'm always going to do my best to be respectful to the source material. I know I didn't read too far into the history. That'll be for another day. Like I said, as I always do, we're going to revisit a lot of these. So as we revisit them, this will be one of them that we do revisit. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed. I appreciate you sticking it through this long if you did. If you have any suggestions for me to do in the future, let me know. I'm only saying this now because the live stream is becoming a video on demand, as always. So let me know if you have any suggestions about cryptids in the future. These are always Wednesday, 8 p.m. Expect a Halo stream possibly tomorrow. Thank you for dealing with my yawns and my sickness and eating and all that. I jinxed it. Have a great day. I hope you have a great day. I hope you guys all enjoy what's going on for you. And remember that somebody somewhere loves you, even if they don't know it yet. Take care, guys, and good night.